And to find out more on how to elevate startups to new heights, we are now joined with the Managing Director of OCBC Ventura, Darryl Ratulangi. Good afternoon, Darryl. Thank you for coming to our studio.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, so as a venture capital, how do you identify and evaluate startups with high potential for growth?
Okay. I think aside from the numbers, right, pretty much we just look at what do people like, what do people consume, and how can we make money out of this, right? Because in the end of the day, venture capital, the goal is to make money, right? If I invest X, then I hope I can get 5X or 10X after I exit the investments.
Okay, for 2025, what do people like and where will you invest?
Okay. Sadly, I don't think we have a crystal ball yet, so I don't know
Yes.
what people like. At least I'll share a bit of what we like,
Yes.
right? So we like retail consumer companies, especially the one facing or targeting women consumers. So we are very bullish on women consumers in Indonesia. And the way we see this, we like things that are in the mall, things that are building require capex, then we want to be their partner, right? Because we see Indonesia is all about consumption, and we see that, look, government-wise, consumption spending, Indonesia is on a good trend, middle income's rising, there is a lot of Gen Z and millennials, and we want to help companies serve their target segment.
Okay, so I read that one of your portfolio is a gym, right?
Yes.
Fitness center. Why do you decide to invest in gym or fitness centers, and what are your expectations? If
Okay.
you can disclose
Yes.
the number of investments.
Sure. So this is the trend that we're seeing going outside, exiting COVID, right? So more people care about their wellness, more people care about their health. And to be fair, we were quite surprised that in Southeast Asia, the number of gym penetration is very low, right? So there are not so many number of gyms. And we're only scratching the surface. Majority of the gyms are still sitting in urban cities, office, and Jakarta, right? So second-tier cities do not have a proper gym. So the way we see it, there's so much abundance in Indonesia to grow these gym spaces, to follow all our other Southeast Asia competitors.
So what are your expectations for your investment in gyms? Do you expect them to grow at all costs or more sustainable finance?
So I think like every other investors, I think our goal is to make as much money as possible,
Yeah.
right? I think that's always the goal. But we want them to grow sustainably, and we want them to be able to cater to consumers' preference, right? So if today people like Pilates, then they're gonna serve Pilates. If tomorrow people like dancing, they're gonna serve dancing, right? So we like companies that are just, I guess, trying to keep innovating, because consumer preference always change, and the key to survival is just keep innovating. Just do more and more and more innovations.
Interesting. You mentioned earlier that you focuses more on businesses that cater to women's, right? And then we want to know from all the startups or companies in your portfolio right now, let's discuss them,
Sure.
elaborate them, in what sectors, and also those that you have exited
Okay.
so far.
So, I mean, we equally like them all, right? We
Yes.
invested into them all. But specifically speaking, we're very bullish on retail and consumers in Indonesia, especially on the F&B sectors. So I think we are looking at a trend whereby Indonesians like to hang out, right? Working from cafe. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So we are seeing a trend whereby a lot of the coffee shop chains are getting good result, right? Before, people only hang out. Now people also work from the cafe. So they're getting more crowded. And then it requires bigger and bigger money to get bigger spaces. So that's why we are trying to do that kind, and I guess that sectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Retails.
Retails, consumers, healthcare. So that's what we're bullish about.
Okay, then. So you mentioned earlier that you prefer not to exit
Yes.
through IPO. Why is that so?
So the way that we see the market, there is a lot of mergers and acquisitions happening, right? Because if we see the market like in the Europe, in the US, a lot of private companies, a lot of conglomerates end up buying companies to bolt on, right? Either to complement their current businesses or to add into their current existing business. And while it's not happening yet today in Indonesia, but the way we see it, slowly things are changing because a lot of the conglomerates are entering into their third generation, into their fourth generations. And what used to be, I guess, Indonesia used to be full of manufacturing, and things changes. I think if you ask Gen Z these days, I don't think working in a factory will be a dream job for them, right? A lot of them will be, oh, I want a cafe, I want a bar, or I want restaurants, right? That is more sexy towards the Gen Z and the millennials today, and that's what we see what's happening in the market.
Okay, so you mentioned that previously you love retail sectors, but with the projection of the Federal Reserve will not likely to cut interest rate to as much as we have or the market expected, and also with the early signs of purchasing power is not as strong as it used to be.
Yes.
How would you see the challenges faced by the companies in your portfolios?
Yes. So fully agree. I think macro-wise, it's a bit challenging, I would say, in Indonesia. But we also see this is the right opportunity, right? Because for newer companies to get market share from the current incumbent will be very difficult on a very good time. So whenever we see a bit of a challenge or a bit of crisis, that's when we see actually people gaining market share, right? If we look at all the previous financial crises, there is always new companies or there is always new people that shows up after the crisis and they end up turning better, right? Because then there is a room to get the market share from the incumbents. So that's why we're looking for the next company to back that are able to challenge the current incumbents.
So yeah, the post-pandemic, we've seen that it's not all rainbow in the startup scenes or industry in
Yes.
Indonesia. What do you think, what qualities that these businesses need to perform in order to show resilient and also sustainable growth?
Yes. I think it has changes a lot, right? During COVID, I think we are expecting a very low interest rate. I mean, at the time there was even zeros, right? So time has definitely changed. So now everyone's focused on how do I grow more profitably, right? How do I grow as fast but as much as profitable as possible? So I think we're seeing that the expectations are changing, right? So what used to be, look, I have to grow at all costs, build 1,000 outlets, build 2,000 outlets. Now people are like, okay, maybe I can accept building 100 outlets, but then it has to be all profitable, right? So we are, I guess, adjusting to the expectation, adjusting to the market, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 years, right? I think what all investors want, we always say every Christmas, right? What we want is the crystal ball, right? What's going to happen in the 2-3 years, right? I think if everyone have that, everyone will be the best investment manager out there.
So we don't have crystal
Yes.
ball, that's right. And we were inviting another investors previously, and she mentioned about the needs to look for zebra right now, not unicorn anymore.
Yes.
So what's your insights or your take on this?
Okay. I don't know whether we like unicorn or zebra, right? I think definitely we like companies that are profitable, right? That do not die, right? We always say we like zombies, right? They're hard to kill. So we like companies that people are afraid of, right? So competitors do not want to enter the space because then they're doing very well and they're hard to kill, right? As soon as there is challenge, like they're very resilient. So that's why we say we like the zombies, right? I don't know whether that's the right term, but we like our company to be very strong and be very resilient to the market. That's what we like, yes.
Okay, it's interesting term. So for OCBC Ventura, do you prefer to invest in what stage?
So
Or what
we
round?
typically invest, I would say, in early growth stage, right? Whereby company has already proven us with some tractions and they're using our money to grow even further, right? So for example, if we invest in a coffee chain, they probably already have multiple outlets and now they're trying to ramp up to get bigger, right? So we don't like to fund people chasing their dreams because what we see a lot of people these days, they have so much excuse. You probably heard it, right? Look, I need money in order for me to do X, Y, Z. I need money in order for me to succeed, right? But honestly, these days, I think that's the easy part, right? You just need money to grow even further, right? To make your success from 1 to 100. So that's where we want. We don't want to grow from 0 to 1. We want to grow from 1 to 100.
Okay. So with the sad downfall of big startups that used to be the hero of startups, but now we've seen sad endings. So how, as an investor, you make sure that this business is legit and then your investment will be taken care of wisely by the founders?
I think it's definitely a hard time, right? You see a lot of people doing layoff, a lot of people are closing down, but then we are also seeing a lot of winners, right? Just as you mentioned today, we just had one exit in 2024, right? And everyone say that was a gloomy year, but good investment will always get good results.
How much is the return of investment?
Quite good. Happy camper, I would say. Yeah, but I think generally speaking, I think the key is to just always make good investments. I'm not saying that our investment team never fail, right? That's also not true. But it's how to minimize that losses and how to maximize our gain. While before it was more just about maximizing the gain, no one really cares. Oh, what if I lost this much company, or how much do I lose, right? Now I think the focus is how to actually have a profitable portfolio, right? Just like when we trade stocks, right? We want a profitable portfolio, not just profit here, losses there, and then in the end it's negative, right?
Okay.
I think that makes us a bad investment manager.
Okay, how do you track your investment, or how you support the businesses that you invest in to make sure that you get your return?
Yeah. So I think every investor will always try to be value-add investors, but I think in general, we just hope that we are being there as their sparring partner, right? Because in the end of the day, they are the entrepreneur, we are the investors, right? We do see a lot of companies, but we don't want to be the CEO. We don't want to grow the companies, right? We just becoming a sparring partner, a sounding board. Like, have you seen this phenomena in the other market? What is the other startups doing? How's the general trend, right? So we are probably a generalist, and they're probably a specialist doing very good things at their certain industry. And we can't replicate that, right? Because if I'm good at that, then I might as well be the founder and not the investors.
Okay.
That's how I always put it.
So as an investor, IPO is not the ultimate goal for you?
I don't think that's the ultimate goal, right? I think the ultimate goal at least for our investment team, is to just make money, right? Whether it's through the private market, the founders bought us back, whether it's the IPO market, we will always take the best option, what's best for us and what's best for the entrepreneurs. And because in the end of the day, it's their company, it's not us, right? We were just an investors, right? We invest for multiple number of years, right? Generally 5 to 10 years, and then we have to exit. That's the reality of the game.
Okay, so what are the biggest challenges and opportunities that you've seen in 2025, despite we're not having this
Sure.
crystal ball?
Sure.
Okay.
So there are a lot of challenges. So I think for us, the biggest challenge will be always human capital, right? As Indonesia is trying to improve their human capital, right? We have to improve our investment human capital, because then if we pick bad apples, it's going to be bad apples. So we have to keep improving our internal investment capabilities in order for us to get better investment results. So if we pick something good, most likely they're going to be good, right?
Human capital.
Yes.
Okay then, thank you very much, Darryl Ratulangi, Managing Director of OCBC Ventura, for joining us today. So that's our conversation on scaling up startups to new heights with Darryl Ratulangi. Once again, for the today's business talk, you can stay connected with us on Instagram, X, and YouTube at CToday News. We're also available online at ctodaynews.com.